Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama. Yeah. ये जगह रख दी
Not sitting at that, neither too high nor too low.
हाँ मिडल
I forgot it.
सिंहासन लेके आओ अलग सिंहासन लेके आओ yeah if they want
Too comfortable.
yes bro send okay let's start Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayana Naram Cheva Narottamam
Nam Chaiva Narottamam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Dodayamudaya Nasta Praishya Bhadreshu
Yascha Parishu Bhadreshu.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Bhagavate Uttama Shloke
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke.
Bhaktir Bhavati Naistike
Bhagavati Nistike.
Continuing Canto 7 Science of God Chapter 15 Instructions for Civilized Human Beings. We are now in 43 and 44. Ragodeshascha lobhascha
Bhagavadeshascha lobhascha.
Shoka moha vayam vadaha
Shukramavayam.
Mano vam mano suyacha
Manovamansuryacha.
Maya hingsacha matsaraha
Maya himsacha.
Raja pramada shunnidra
Rajapramada Sunita.
Satravastu eva madaya
Sattravasthameva Madaya.
Rajastama prakritaya
Rajastama Prakritaya.
Sattva prakritaya kvachi.
Sattva.
Translation. In the conditioned stage, one's conceptions of life are sometimes polluted by passion and ignorance, which are exhibited by attachment, hostility, greed, lamentation, illusion, fear, madness, false prestige, insults, fault finding, deception, envy, intolerance, passion, bewilderment, hunger, and sleep. All of these are enemies. Sometimes one's conceptions are also polluted by goodness. So now the Muni is continuing to explain how even in the mode of goodness, it is still not going to help someone attain bhakti. They get trapped by goodness itself. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, in the material world, even if one is a philanthropist, a nationalist, and a good man, according to materialistic estimations, these conceptions of life form a hindrance to spiritual advancement. They take you away from trying to pursue spiritual life. You're thinking this is good, I should do like that. But then you won't worship Krishna, Narayan like that. And then it says, how much more of a hindrance than a hostility, greed, illusion, lamentation, and too much attachment to material enjoyment. Passion and ignorance. So it's even more of a hindrance. To progress toward the target of Vishnu, which is our real self-interest, one must become very powerful in conquering these various hindrances or enemies. So one must become powerful. How do you become powerful? by
conquering these various hindrances of
by overcoming the senses and the mind through the practice of sadhana bhakti. Okay. In other words, one should not be attached to being a good man or a bad man in this material. Actually, everyone thinks they are good. Even a bad man will think he's good. You see a lot of the time they'll say, "Oh, as long as I give my charity, I'm a good person," like that. But it's not enough because Prabhupada explains that whether it's good or bad, they are all in the three modes of material nature. That means you are like a puppet; it controls you. But we are meant to transcend that, which is what Krishna tells Arjuna, Nistray Guna Bhava Arjuna. Just rise above these three modes, Arjuna. Same thing. Otherwise, what happens? Then Urdhvam Gachanti Satvasta. That's what happens. Again, the same thing which Narada, Srila Prabhupada explains in the previous verses. You then go up and down the universe. You take birth in a heavenly planet, or you go down to hellish planet, stuff like that. So they are not really good. So goodness or badness, it's not really helpful for a devotee. So in this regard, Prabhupada says one must be very bold so that he can conquer these enemies of Krishna consciousness. Alright? Whether they are good or bad, they are always an enemy. Not caring for the good and bad of this material world, one must boldly propagate Krishna consciousness. So that's interesting because we are worried, no? When we go out and preach, we are worried situation is not good or bad. But Prabhupada says, don't worry. One must boldly propagate Krishna consciousness. And it takes time because we are so conditioned. And you can't sometimes do it also because of law, government law, state laws. It may prohibit, but you can always talk to the officials and you can get some leeway sometimes. They may say, no, you cannot do this. Then you can go and tell them, we are not doing anything wrong. We need some, can you help us? And they'll say, okay, you can only do it here, you cannot do it like that. So that's what he means by boldly propagate. Go and talk to those people and maybe they will allow you to do some preaching, but not so much like that. So a devotee must kill all kinds of attachment, hatred, greed, etc. Just like kings, when they go to Swayamvara to get the bride, they will have to kill other kings. So in the same way, a devotee must kill attachment, hatred, greed, insults, fault finding, envy, all those things. Must tolerate or overcome those things. Because even if you are saying, oh, I'm a good person, even in Sattva, what is the hindrance? Doing good to others. You become attached to those things. So I'm doing okay. So therefore, it is not acceptable.
So here in this verse, right, the Traigunya Vishya Veda,
Yeah.
Even Krishna says, raise above the Vedas.
Yeah.
But Buddha says, don't discard the Vedas.
He says, don't look into it.
Yeah. Both.
Yeah.
At some point, they realize the futility of Vedas for self-realization.
Yes. In terms of materially, if you use the Vedas, then it is futile. Yeah. So you have to go above it. Text 45. Yavan nirkaya ratamatma vasopakalpam datte garishta charanarchanaya nishatam Jnana simachyuta balodada asta satru Swananda tusta upashanta idam vijaya As long as one has to accept a material body with its different parts and paraphernalia, which are not fully under one's control, one must have the lotus feet of his superiors, namely spiritual master and the spiritual master's predecessors. By their mercy, one can sharpen the sword of knowledge, and with the power of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's mercy, one must then conquer the enemies mentioned above. In this way, the devotee should be able to merge into his own transcendental bliss, and then he may give up his body and resume his spiritual identity. Yeah, strong words. How to become perfect. Meaning, in the beginning stage, most of us, when we first take up Krishna consciousness, we think we have conquered all senses and mind and so on. Not understanding that we are not fully controlling those things. Rather, we are under the control of our mind and senses. But through to the superior devotees and spiritual master and others, he will come to realize actually he is suffering under illusion. He will understand he's actually not fully controlling his own mind and senses. So, what is the result? Then he becomes more diligent. You can only become more diligent if your goal is correct. You cannot become more diligent, or you cannot become a better devotee if you're not interested in becoming a better devotee. Basically, that's what it is. So then, what happens? The knowledge will make sense. Whatever sastra that he's reading and putting into good use, it will reinforce all the things that he had heard from his spiritual master, and he will understand the goal is what he wants. If not, the modes of material nature will cover him, and he cannot see the goal or the mission of human life properly. So that's why if you serve the spiritual masters and superior devotees properly, by their mercy, Narad Muni says one can sharpen the sword of knowledge. And at the same time, because the spiritual master is pleased, the Lord is also pleased. And then you can then conquer the enemies that is mentioned previously, as in the case of attachment, hostility, greed, lamentation, illusion, fear, madness, all this which are in our way, we can overcome them. Of course, the result of following the spiritual master, one can then understand the nature of the Lord. The knowledge of the Lord will make sense. Krishna says, right? Janma karma chami divya. How do we understand? What does he mean? One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance. That means you from your heart you appreciate. Oh, the Lord is coming to protect us. The Lord is taking this avatar to take us back to Godhead. And you feel gratitude. Right? Every time you read about his appearances, you feel gratitude. So that you understand why he's coming, why he's doing such activities. So when you understand, then you're connecting with the Supreme Lord, and because you're properly connecting with the Supreme Lord through service and at the same time understanding his nature, Krishna says, he will attain my abode. He won't come back again. So this is what Prabhupada says is the purpose of human life. Because we discussed the second part, the human body is a boat. We were talking yesterday also. The other thing we need to know is the Guru is the
Captain of the ship.
captain of the ship. Yeah. Guru Karnadaram, ship. He guides the boat.
Karnadhar, right?
Yeah. Using the scriptures. Because he's the captain, all the people in the boat must serve the captain. So similarly, Prabhupada says, the spiritual master is the captain, one must serve the spiritual master very sincerely. And by His mercy, one will get the mercy of the Supreme Lord. So we get the strength or the mercy from the Supreme Lord simply by serving the spiritual master. Therefore, Mahaprabhu says, Guru Krishna Prasadipaya Bhakti Lata. By the mercy, you get the strength. Nothing. Huh? It's not by our own. Yeah, so we must be very clear now. Please be very clear about this. You're not going to go back to Godhead on your own. It is through the Guru Parampara, through the devotees. So together they will take you out. Yeah, or they will go behind and push you. So again, Prabhupada highlights this, If you please the spiritual master, that pleases Krishna. If you are serious to go back to Godhead, you must become strong enough by pleasing the spiritual master. It doesn't mean one time you do some service to Guru is enough. You must always maintain that service attitude. So Prabhupada highlights again, simply getting the weapon of jnana is insufficient. So many times devotees just simply want to know the information. But the reality is the jnana will not make you a self-realized person if you are not in the mood of serving the mission of the spiritual master.
Jnana and Vijnana.
Yeah,
And Vijnana.
and Vijnana. Yeah. It becomes Vijnana if you use it properly in the service. Otherwise, it's just Jnana. Yeah, so as long as we have this human body, we need to use it properly, and the best person to tell us how to use properly is the spiritual master. Of course, as you practice for many years, the spiritual master will know that you have understood how to do it, and then he will expect you to do it on your own. You cannot continuously keep asking the spiritual master all the time unless you're really a fool. Then that's a different situation. And again, Prabhupada says, you cannot understand Krishna on your own except through bhakti. And to do bhakti, you need the guidance of the spiritual master. So even though he says bhaktyamam avijananti, still you should understand it has to be, after that you will know what is spiritual activities and what is just mundane activities. So Prabhupada highlights, unless one has attained the stage of devotional service and the mercy of spiritual master and Krishna, there is a possibility that one may fall down and again accept a material body. So again, it's very important. And he again quotes this verse, Janma Karma. So Tadvata here, Tyaktva deham punarjanma evam yovati tadvataha. So tadvata means in reality. Tato mam tadvato jnatva. Unless one understands Krishna in truth, how? By the mercy of the spiritual master. One is not free to give up his material body. So even after the time of death, if you are still hanging on to some nonsense, you cannot go back to God. So sometimes out of mercy, the spiritual master can come at the time of death and take you back to God by their mercy. Otherwise, it doesn't happen. And of course, one cannot sustain spiritual activities without devotional service. So Prabhupada says, even if you are somehow able to merge in Brahma Jyoti, still you will not be satisfied. Yeah. By nature, the jiva is so active. He must do some activity. So service is the best activity. So if he can't do that, then he is going to come down to do some philanthropic activity. Therefore, he will fall down. fall down. Alright, so in ISKCON we are fortunate because all our spiritual masters are coming in the line of parampara. So we don't have to worry about that. But how we are performing devotional service is a problem because we take it for granted. We think, oh, I'm initiated. We take it for granted. We think, oh, I'm initiated, I'm safe. Actually, no. It's just beginning. Initiate means beginning, right? The word initiation means starting. Yeah. So what are we starting? Pure devotional service. How do we do? We come and do service at the temple. How much are we doing? Like I mentioned yesterday, the weekend. How many people actually take the time to come for Mangalarti, do service in the temple, make it a lively place? So all this counts against them if they do not come. Because if you don't, then you're trying to either enjoy the material energy or you are covered by the material energy. So the best remedy is to come to the temple. The temple is a place where it is spiritual. The temple is like the embassy. So embassy of the spiritual world. So devotees have to come. And some people may say they are staying so far away. No problem. Prabhupada said they make your home into a temple. But are you making it into a temple? Seeing them, are you offering them 6-7 times offering? Are you putting them to rest? Are you changing the outfit? So all this must be there. Simply having deities is not a good thing. One must do all these things. And then one is connected to Krishna. Service and attains ultimate goal of life. Yeah. Okay. So when you serve the spiritual master, you get the Jnanasim Achyutta Valaha. So what is that? The sword of knowledge. So with that sword of knowledge, you cut through the ignorance that is binding you in this material world. Okay. And Prabhupada says this Bala is coming from Balaram. Okay. And Balaram and Mahaprabhu are helping us. So they are both very merciful. Papi tapi yata chila hariname udarila. Their weapon is Sankirtan, Harinam. So today some of you are going for Harinam Sankirtan, so that's nice. Thus one should accept the sword of knowledge from Krishna and be strong with the mercy of Balaram. And interesting, he says, we are therefore worshipping Krishna Balaram in Vrindavan.
So Balaram in this case in a way refers to spiritual master?
Yeah,
Tattva?
always. Yeah. Always. And cannot attain the goal of life without the mercy of Balaram. Sri Narottam Das Thakur therefore says, Nitayera Karuna Habe Raja Radha Krishna Bhave. Only when you receive the mercy of Balaram, Nityananda, one can attain the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna very easily. If you don't have connection with Nitai, Balaram, then even though one is a very learned scholar, a Jnani, or has taken birth in a very respectable family, these assets will not help him. Kunti also says that, remember? Yeah, Janmaishwarya. Sutta, Shri. These assets will not help him. So bear that in mind. How to conquer these enemies? You conquer the enemies with the strength received from Balaram through devotional service under the guidance of your spiritual master or someone who can guide you. Sutta Nidvat Patam Nishayatasyu क्षिपन्ति ते तस्य वासः यसूतममुं तमुन्दे संसारकूप उरुमृत्युभयशीबन्ति Otherwise, if one does not take shelter of Achyuta and Baladeva, then the senses acting as the horses and the intelligence acting as the driver, both being prone to material contamination, inattentively bring the body, which acts as the chariot, to the path of sense gratification. And one is thus attracted again by the rogues of Vishaya, eating, sleeping, and mating. The horses and chariot driver are thrown into the blinding dark well of material existence. And one is again put into a dangerous and extremely fearful situation of repeated birth and death. Okay. So very important. So Srila Prabhupada very intelligently from the previous verse, here he puts not just Achyuta, he also includes Baladev. Yeah. Sometimes people will argue, well, we don't see that in the verse. But Prabhupada knows, as Acharya, he understands from previous verse where the spiritual master, mercy of the spiritual master, the sort of knowledge that comes, is coming from Baladev. Yeah. So therefore, the same theme is brought over into this verse in his translation. So we have to take shelter of the spiritual master through Krishna and Balaram. Gonita. Actually, we should first worship Gonita. Most people only want Radha and Krishna at their home. Yeah, but no, we should actually worship Gonita. And if your worship is successful, Mahaprabhu will reveal Radha and Krishna. Because he is Radha and Krishna combined. So for Kali Yuga, that is who we should be worshipping and daily within strong intent. How do you please them? Sankirtan, Harinam, Prasad, distribution, book distribution. It's not that hard actually. Yeah. But if you can do that, good for you. If you can't help those who can do that. If you really can't help those who are doing that, then help those who are helping those who are doing it. Yeah.
Like the 12th chapter of Krishna.
Yeah.
12th chapter
12th
Krishna
chapter.
says, do this,
Yeah.
do that, or do
Yes.
that, not that.
Because then you'll make advancement. Yeah. Otherwise, the horse and then the senses and the chariot driver will get thrown away. Your intelligence and your mind, the senses and the intelligence will get bewildered. Yeah. Because it's easily covered by the material energy. That is why to keep your intelligence ages, what do they do every morning? They chant mantras from the scripture. Yeah. So that the mind is very sharp. Now first thing they do is bed coffee. Right?
Newspaper.
Or the alarm will go with some stupid song going on.
So one time I just read an article on Google CEO Sundar Pichai. He's considered the top CEO, no?
Uh-huh.
He said somebody asked, "What do you do in the morning?" He said, "First thing I do is to drink a full mug of coffee, and I need a newspaper.
Yeah, that's nonsense.
I read for half an hour."
No. So then you can see Prabhupada's program, right? First thing is get up, take shower, run to the temple. So you drench yourself with devotion, bhakti. And then you can do other material things because you have the kavacha of the morning program. And protects you. But otherwise, if you are not going to do that, you are not protected. And therefore, you struggle in your even simply chanting also. Which is why I was saying yesterday, and I will always say, go to Mangala Arati if you can, Otherwise, you get up in your own home and do your Mangala Arati. It will be so important. As you get older, nothing can help you. I was just telling Prabhu, this last week, 2 devotees just died just like that. Boom, boom.
You mentioned.
Yeah. One was sick, so he sort of knew he was dying. The other one just like that, bang. They're Indian devotees. And statistically, Indians die with heart attack more than the average person.
Oh,
Huh?
heart attacks.
Heart attack.
Yeah.
So, therefore become more serious. You cannot get out of this dark well without the mercy of Gaurnitai. Otherwise, we will always be in the dark well. Blinding, Prabhupada says, translates it as blinding dark well. When it's completely dark, it's blinding actually. You don't know what you'll fall down. You cannot stand straight. If there's some light, little light is okay, you can survive. But it's completely dark, you'll go crazy. Yeah. This is a very famous verse. Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Savodiko Gododaya Pushvanto Chitra Sandho Tamonato. I offer my respectful obeisances on the Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, who are like the sun and moon. They were risen simultaneously on the horizon of Gauda to dissipate the darkness of ignorance and thus wonderfully bestow benediction upon all. So this whole world is in darkness. Now in the in the first canto also, right? We read that when Krishna went back to
Krishna Swadhama
Swadhama
Dharma Jnana
Dharma Jnana
Divikshiva
Divikshaha
Kalanasta Drishakam
Isham
Isham
Puranarka
Puranarka Dunodrita.
Dunodita. So at that time when Krishna left, everything is in darkness. But you can find solace in this age of Kali
In Srimad Bhagavatam.
in the illuminating books of Srimad Bhagavatam, Mahapurana. So there is still hope every day. It's very illuminating. It will release you from all nonsense actually. Immediately you know you're a nonsense. And then you have to figure out how to, excuse yourself. It's true. So, confirmation. So daily before you go to work, just read a small paragraph is also purifying. Just do that, Just flip and say, oh wow, okay, even if you're drinking coffee, that's why I said, even if you're drinking coffee, read that and it will protect you. Because there are devotees who will, indulge in coffee or decaf, it's still coffee.
Prabhupada said to give the of devotion to distribute to karmis because he said they'll become devotees. So we are scared to give to karmis because we think they'll not understand. But Prabhupada says, somewhere I've read,
This distribute,
if they give to karmis, they become pure Krishna consciousness.
Yeah.
Which book?
The nectar of devotion.
Yeah, any book is good enough. Yeah, it's true. He said that.
All of books.
Or any book.
I mean, that looks very heavy book, but it can be given to karmis.
So when you read some sentences of Srila Prabhupada before you're going, then immediately you'll understand, I'm going to this workplace, but I should understand my goal is this. So then you can do your work and at the same time you're centered. Otherwise you're gone. Remember we were said that Mama Smaran Yudhecha. Prepare to fight. But remember Krishna. So prepare to fight the material energy that is going to give you so much havoc. Right?
So it's simple, an idea is to just serve the spiritual master and then you'll get mercy of Krishna, and by that way you can fight material nature.
Yeah. So your mood should be to serve. Sometimes the Guru Maharaj will say it's okay where you are, just do what you're doing. But the mood should always constantly be, like Prabhupada wasn't just satisfied, right? How many times he asked his Guru him again? then he may say the same thing. You're chanting, you're following nicely, I'm happy with you. Okay, but you should always make sure you're doing those things. Then again, you can ask, can I do something more? Yeah. So that is the mood of service. If you're not asking, means you haven't cultivated service attitude. That means you don't want to serve the spiritual master. So it's important. You have to come to them and say, how can I help you? Tell me anything. I'll try to do. Then of course you will know what you can do and cannot. Then you say, all right, just help this or do that, like that. So very important. Worship Go Nitai, and they will give us the strength to get out of this material energy. Without their blessings is wasting of time. It's like clutching straws when you're drowning. Right? Useless. Text 47. Pravritam cha nimritam cha dvividam karma vaidikam avartate pravrittena nivritena snute. Pravritti activities involve raising oneself from a lower to a higher condition of materialistic life, whereas nivritti means the cessation of material desire. Through pravritti activities, one suffers from material entanglement, but by nivritti activities, one is purified and becomes fit to enjoy eternal blissful life. Then Prabhupada quotes from the 16th, the demon and the divine. Pravritim cha nivritim cha janana vidur asuraha na socham na pi cha charo na satyam te vidyate. The asuras, non-devotees, cannot distinguish between pravritti and nivritti. So what it means is, as devotees, we should know what is pravritti and nivritti. We cannot, say, I don't know. Nobody told me, right? Why are you disturbing me? Right? It's a good way, ignorance is bliss. But we don't want to be in ignorance. We want to be at least in goodness. That means we know what is right and what is wrong. So in general, if we want to say we don't know this, we don't know that, the reality is they want to do what they want to do. They don't want any authorities telling them, you cannot do this. Because sense enjoyment is something
Strong.
they want to keep, Yes, I will come to temple, but first let me go to the restaurant. I'll have my, barbecue special today, and then I'll come to the temple. Right? There are people like that. It's okay. I'll go. I have my whiskey. I have a shot. So Prabhupada says they are under such persons think themselves independent of the strong material nature, and therefore they are irresponsible and do not care to act piously. Indeed, they do not distinguish between pious and impious activity. And this morning we were speaking, Amrita and myself, that my mother used to tell us that when she was a little girl, the people were very pious in the village in India. So that when the time for them to die, they will actually call the family members, and then they'll tell them, I will be leaving my body in a few days. So I'm giving your blessings or stuff like that, and they'll just go to the bed and sleep. And why? I used to think why it's different now is because they were very pious people. Very pious. They follow the scriptures very nicely and piety. But nowadays people are not so pious. So therefore they suffer. Even to die they suffer so much. Those pious people, they sleep it off. So for them death is not so bad. But nowadays we suffer. We go through suffering. So therefore, here Prabhupada is mentioning how such people are irresponsible nowadays, and they don't care whether it's pious or not pious. So you will see the trend already in society if you read carefully, and you'll see people advocate impious activity and they glorify impious activity in society, right?
Whole IT industry is impious.
Yeah, well, that's because it's done in a subtle way. People are becoming impious, but I'm saying openly they say things, slowly losing its piety also. Instead of, as Prabhupada says, the goal of human duties is to come to the point of loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord. But this is not the goal anymore, right? What is the goal nowadays? Yeah, basically sense. If you can get it, go for it. You know, hook or by crook, right? Do it like that. So obviously, only those who are pious people can approach Krishna, and he makes it very clear in chapter 7 Bhagavad Gita, right? Says 4 kinds of people come to take shelter of him. We have to understand, unless you're pious, it's very hard to take up devotional service. Yesham tu andagatam papam janavam punya karmanam te dvanda bhajante mam. That's the key word. Dhrida vrata. That means very determined. Because no more sinful, impiety in you that is causing this fight with the modes. So you should quickly surrender to the deities and say, please help me. I don't want this. I don't want this. I want to surrender. So you're making a willing and a natural plea to the Lord, and He likes that. Oh, this person is serious. Then we can make advancement like that. Huh? Like that. Then you can tell the Lord when you're very advanced, Swamin Kritarto Asmi Varam Nai. Right? Then you can say, I don't want any more anything. Don't give me anything. Yes, Dhruva Maharaj says that. But mostly you're not ready. And you can't handle it. And you leave Krishna consciousness. Totally. Right. So even if we are all fallen, we should take up this process. And it says, Shipram Bhavati Dharmatma Sashvat Chanti Nikachat. Surely we will get purified. Because the Lord is so merciful and we are sincere. Sincerity must be there. Okay? So don't try to, even in your mind, think about, I will do pious activity, impious activity, all those things. Don't just say, Krishna, let me do pure devotional service. Because otherwise, how to go back to God later? Very much of a challenge. Maybe you all like challenges, right?
Challenge ke saath.
Huh?
Challenge ke saath.
Yeah. Text 48 and 49. Hinshram dravyam vayam kamyam
Hinsam Dravamayam Kamyam
Agnihotradi ashantidam
Agnihotradi Asantidam
Dashascha purnamashascha
Dashasya Purnamasasya
Chaturmasyam Pashusutaha
Chaturmasyam Pashusutaha
Etadistam pravrittakyam
Etadishtam Pravrittakyam
Utam prahutam evacha
Utam Prahutam Evacha
Urtam suralaya rama.
Upajivyadi Lakshanam.
Ritualistic ceremonies and sacrifices known as Agnihotra Yagna, Darsha Yagna, Purnamasa Yagna, Chaturmasya Yagna, Pasu Yagna, and Soma Yagna are all symptomized by the killing of animals and the burning of many valuables, especially food grains, all for the fulfillment of material desires and the creation of anxiety. The ceremony of Bali Harana, which all supposedly constitute the goal of life, as well as constructing temples for demigods, building resting houses and gardens, digging wells for the distribution of water, establishing booths for the distribution of food, and performing activities for public welfare. These are all symptomized by attachment to material desires. So sometimes we may be involved in these things, even though we may say we are devotees. I still find many devotees who go to temples, demigod worship, or they do social welfares, right? They have money, they come to America, so they build wells in villages and stuff like that, or build a school, right?
Hospitals.
Hospitals, like that.
Just a comment, Prabhu. Dhruva Maharaj ki prayers mein, the last, I think, chapter or the section, it says you cannot go back to Godhead until you perform welfare activities for others. Prabhupada did mention it in the purport that our welfare activities
Yes.
is doing
Not
Sankirtan.
Yes, Krishna
But-
consciousness, give
yeah.
Krishna consciousness.
The Krishna one.
That's
Because
the
if
real
somebody
welfare.
reads that,
Yeah.
they will say that yes, they have to do the welfare activities.
So they should read
just
Prabhupada's books.
because- Yeah, it's just a comment.
Yeah, I know. That's
That's the 18th chapter verses, The one who gives Krishna is more, no one is more dear to me than one
Then
who
one
gives
who
Krishna.
gives
That's the church.
And he also cautions, be careful who you give it to. Yeah. So you make them favorable by first giving prasad. And then you can preach to them.
Prabhupada with like conversations with people outside, many times he condemns this, welfare activities.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's all coming from here.
Yeah. Of course, Prabhupada speaks philosophy.
When in the beginning, when we hear
You
it,
don't
we
understand.
feel like it's so hard.
Hard. But you can say, Narad Muni is very hard.
Because again, you'll be attached to the bodily platform.
Yes,
From down to
that's right. Then people will say, you're so wonderful, you build this well for me, this water tank, so then you think, oh, I'm so good,
By mode of goodness.
Yeah, but when you start telling people you're not the body, and then you tell them to give up all the bad habits and so on, then they don't like that. They'll say, why are you coming to disturb us?
all the conversions in India, the Christian and Muslim, there are monetary benefits people have admitted.
Exactly.
They do so-called many of them are Christians because they get some monetary benefits.
Yeah, mostly gifts. They say in the south they're doing this. How they preach is they go to villages.
Every small village has.
They go
2-3
there.
churches.
They'll hold hands and they say, "Let's pray to Jesus. What do you want?" So the guy says, "I need some tractor for my farming tools or whatever." And then they cell phone they call, bring in, and then they drive next morning and say, "Look, Jesus has sent you this." And the villagers, "Oh, wow, look, this is real thing." Like that. All right, so text 50 and 51. Dravya Sukshma Vipakascha Dumo Ratri Rapakshayah Ayanam Dakshinam Somo Darshao Shadi Virudaha Annam Reta Itikshe Smesha Pitriyanam Punarbhavaha Ekashinanu Purvam Bhutva Bhutveha Jayate. My dear King Yudhishthira, when oblations of ghee and food grains like barley and sesame are offered in sacrifice, they turn into celestial smoke, which carries one to successively higher planetary systems like the kingdoms of Duma, Ratri, Krishna Paksha, Dakshinam, and ultimately the moon. Then, however, the performers of sacrifice descend again to earth to become herbs, creepers, vegetables, and food grains. These are eaten by different living entities and turned into semen, which is injected into female bodies. Thus, one takes birth again and again. It's very scientifically. Naras Muni is explaining how you go to higher planets and then how you come back and take birth. Obviously, when they come down as rain. They fall into the rain and then into the ground, and then all these plants will take up, and then you are eaten by an animal, a human, an insect, etc., to get into a body suited for the next birth, like that.
So when we do this coma, we use food grains. We become food grains.
You are putting food grains, yeah.
Food, right?
But those
But this one is like
they also
again
get
become food grains.
yeah, they get higher birth, when they go into Homa. Yeah.
So where are these planets? Duma, Ratri, Krishna Paksha?
I have not
Moon ke niche hai na.
below the moon, that's true.
Below the moon. Ultimately,
But I do not know where this planet is.
Because in the Vedic cosmology, we don't discuss these names, right?
No.
We only talk about sun, moon, and then
Yeah. The
other
main
planetary systems.
generally Sukadev Goswami talks about what is most important. Not because we want to know everything, there's so many things in life, that you can study in the material world. What is that? One of the great sages said, you can go to the beach, you take the hand of sand, that's the amount of knowledge you can understand. But if you look around, so much more sand is there. So that's how the material world is, how much information there is. We cannot understand everything. So better not worry about that. Best is to know Krishna, the knower.
Great chapter Krishna says, right? You should leave the body in the
Different
dark night.
yes,
They
yes.
go to Dakshina and all these verses, some of them.
Some of them are there,
They
not
go to
all.
Dakshina. Huh?
No, actually, these are all demigods.
Krishna Paksha and that.
Yeah. These are demigods. These are different periods where you die or stuff like that.
Corresponding.
Yeah. And then the demigods will take you, and the fire god is the one who brings you to the ultimate place, whichever moon planet, sun planet, like that. So one person will hand you over to the next person from different levels.
Relay race. It's like a relay race. One is taking to another.
Yeah. Well, we don't want to go and come back like that. Yeah. Okay, so so Prabhupada quotes from the 9th chapter Bhagavad Gita. When those who follow the Pravriti Marga, having enjoyed heavenly sense pleasure, they return to this mortal planet again. You may be wondering why Srila Prabhupada keeps saying this, because there's a tendency for us to forget. We may think we go to heavenly planet and that's it. Or anyone may read suddenly and they'll read to some chapter, they'll flip. So Prabhupada wants to make sure that even if you go to heavenly planets,
Come back.
you want to come back. More or less you get enough information. Thus, through the Vedic principles, they achieve only flickering happiness. So he emphasizes this so much. The happiness is not permanent in this material world. But so many times we hear this, still we forget, right?
Like last night we heard and forgot and again came back again.
I was we were doing with the food truck. I was doing books. We were
Okay.
outside the food truck. So there was a black African American kid,
Yeah.
and he was saying, "You guys are nonsense and this and that, and why you guys say heaven is the most topmost planet." So I listened to him twice, thrice. I couldn't know what to tell him. Then I said, "No." Then the Bhagavad Gita says there's something higher than
Heaven.
So I said, "Oh, I don't have money now. Next time I'll get the Bhagavad Gita."
Wow.
But then we never.
Their understanding of heaven is different from
Yeah.
what they understand.
So
No, also in Bible, there are 3 levels of heaven. You should tell them that.
There
3 levels.
We don't want to know the Bible.
No, I'm saying like even from to preach to them,
Yeah.
That if they say there is only one heaven, sorry, sir.
I'll take my chance.
No, you say since you are going to heaven, so why don't you put in a good word for me?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think one should rise above the three modes of material nature. Otherwise, we will keep taking birth in upper planet, middle planet, or lower planetary system. Shine punyam bhartiya lokam vishanti. So you can understand this scientifically. What can happen even if you go to like Chandra Loka, you have to come down. Only the demigods in charge, they don't have to come down until time of devastation, annihilation. But people like us,
Manmantra.
we go, we have to come back after our 100 years demigod life is over. Yeah. According to our karma. Yeah. Like that. So
Who doesn't have to come back?
who?
Who doesn't have to come to the demigod?
The
rulers.
The superintendent demigod of that
that's
planet.
right, yeah. The in charge. Like Indra, Chandra, all those people.
They just carry out the lifespan and then they're gone.
Yeah, they will
Finish
do
life.
till their job is done. And then it depends.
Manmantra.
Yes, they do. So according to how they perform their services and their devotion to Krishna, some of them go back, some of them have to come back and take birth again. Like that. Okay, so yeah, so Prabhupada writes, after one's enjoyment due to pious activities is finished in the upper planetary, one must return to this planet in rainfall and first take birth as a plant or creeper, which is eaten by various animals, including human beings, and turned into semen. The semen is injected into the fish. What is it?
43.
Semen. Yeah.
So they said in Brahmanas, but modern red football. So finally, it is neither there nor here.
Yeah, exactly. So full.
So because I think in one of Maharaj's books, they say they just follow, but they don't understand why they follow. When they come to Western countries, then they give up
Everything.
Culture is rotting, and we are not the top in the world. Like that.
In glimpses of traditional India, Bhakti Swami was talking to a Sri Vaishnava who came to America. He said we didn't know anything back there.
Yeah.
After coming to America, after coming to Prabhupada, we are learning all
Yeah,
this.
yeah, they become better devotees also, the Sri Vaishnavas. After seeing the ISKCON,
Yeah.
then
We have
they become-
influenced them a
Many
lot.
said that.
Otherwise they can't. Okay, so Prabhupada says that this
641.
is you can't stay in the moon. Most of us can't because we don't have anything else to do. So similarly, even if you take a rocket moon, you can't live there. After some time, you have to come back. You can't breathe and so on. So they make plans. All this thinking like what's his guy, the Virgin Atlantic.
Virgin Atlantic.
What's his guy?
Owner?
Yeah, there's some name, Australian guy.
Richard.
Richard Branson.
Branson. Okay. So the guy is now planning to.
The people who put the
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Already, $1 billion.
Hotter, so you will not survive.
Most of them will die by then before they reach there.
It's one way.
One-way ticket.
Yeah, that's how they're booking
Also,
us.
this is very cold, right? You can't live on the moon.
No,
You have a suitable body for that.
Yeah, you don't have the body. That's right.
Indians tried to land on the moon and they failed. Right, there was a recent expedition last
Even
year.
the Americans say
You should give them easy journey to other
higher
planets.
Chandrayaan.
hard journey.
And then- Right? Yeah.
So one of my friend works in ISRO, Indian Satellite Research or Space Research Organization.
Yeah.
So he said that it's not like we have to go to the moon or anything. It is just psychological competition with the West.
Basically, that's what they
Yeah.
all do. Right?
We also can do.
Yeah.
It's like
Just to prove.
it's like your neighbor bought a TV and so you buy a bigger TV. Then your neighbor looks over and says, "Okay, I'll buy a bigger one."
And because they were able to go to the space,
Yeah.
now Indian products are more accepted in the West. To just prove that we can also make good products.
It's all
like that.
nonsense.
It's all nonsense. They don't really want to go to space. Just drama.
It's actually that's what it is. They don't understand that everyone is actually suffering. Both parties are suffering, but they spend money to send some rockets.
Billions
So
of
much
dollars.
money.
Billions of.
Wait, they're trying to make more people go to the moon now, and I don't know, like in places.
Where
I don't know. That's what they said in school in CNN. 10.
In school, they teach wrong
nobody's
things.
going to moon.
Nobody went to moon.
Okay.
Nobody will go to moon. It's a drama, basically.
Oh, they are talking about Mars.
It's some exciting news to do.
So they will land on some rock and say that is Mars. Who's
Yeah.
going to verify?
Yeah, who's going to win? It's true. But anyway, let them do what they want. By the time they reach the moon and put up some colonies, we should all be back in Godhead. You know? Otherwise, they will force people to go there. what they call that? Draft. Right? Conscription.
Conscription.
Yeah. So all your children will be conscripted to go to Mars and live there, or your grandchildren will go there.
No, to get more funding from US government,
Yeah.
they are creating rumors. So I got some subscription, like in the email. By 2080, planet Earth will be uninhabitable.
Yeah.
So we are forced to go to moon and other planets.
Yeah, they will start like
To get
that.
funding,
Yeah,
no?
to get more funding. Yeah. Anyway, all these are just schemes and more schemes, you know. But it doesn't matter because why? Because this whole universe is Martya Loka. Yeah. So Prabhupada then again says, Abrahma Bhuvana Loka Punaravinti, no Arjuna. So there's no one who's going to be happy in this universe, from the top till the bottom. Everyone is unhappy. So it doesn't matter by 2080 or 2050, it doesn't matter.
Oh, still